For 50 years, the British were told the same bedtime story. Get on the ladder, buy the bricks. A house, they said, was a safe haven, the one place your wealth could never be touched. Your parents believed it. Your grandparents built an entire retirement on it. And for 50 years, they were mostly right. Property went up, wages chased it, and the family home became the single largest thing most people ever owned. But in 2026, the maths has quietly inverted. The safe haven has sprung a leak. And if you are sitting on a £60,000 deposit right now, staring at property listings at midnight, wondering why the numbers never quite seem to work, this is for you. Because we are about to show you something genuinely uncomfortable. In 2026, the person who rents and invests may be the one who actually ends up owning their future. And the person who buys, at these rates, may be the one who is quietly trapped. Let us explain exactly why. When you take out a mortgage today, you do not move into your home alone. You move in with a tenant, an invisible one. This tenant lives in your spare room, and you will never once see them, but you will feed them every single month, without fail. At a 5% fixed rate, this tenant eats around £500 of your money every month, and for a great many buyers, considerably more than that. They contribute nothing. They fix nothing. They will never do the washing up. They will never take the bins out, and they will certainly never say thank you. This tenant is your mortgage interest. Here is the part that truly stings. For the first several years of a repayment mortgage, the overwhelming majority of what you hand over is not buying your house at all. It is simply feeding this guest. You are working the best part of a full week, every single month, purely to keep a stranger fed and comfortable in a room you paid for. And unlike a real lodger, this one does not leave when money gets tight. They do not offer to help. This is the vampire tenant. And in 2026, at these rates, they are hungrier than they have been in almost 2 decades. Now, before you even meet your vampire tenant, you have to pay a toll just to walk through the front door. Call it the stamp duty cliff. Picture a fairly ordinary, semi-detached house in the southeast, priced at £500,000. Watch what it costs you simply for permission to own it. HMRC takes the first slice. You pay nothing on the first £125,000, then 2% on the portion up to £250,000, and then 5% on everything above that. On a house, at this price, that stamp duty bill alone lands at around £15,000. Then come the solicitors, then the survey, then the local searches, the mortgage arrangement fees, the valuation, and the removals van sitting outside. By the time the keys are finally in your hand, you have spent close to £20,000, and not a single penny of it is sitting in the bricks. It has evaporated. It bought you nothing but the right to start feeding the vampire. And if you sell within 3 years, as so many people now do, you will never see £1 of it again. It is gone the moment you sign. To get through that front door at all, most buyers have to borrow right up to the ceiling. Lenders will typically stretch you to around 4.5 times your income, and not a step further. That cap sounds like protection, and in fairness, part of it is. But it also means that to afford anything remotely livable, you are forced to borrow the absolute maximum the system will allow, leaving you with a razor-thin margin and almost nothing left over to absorb a shock. One boiler failure, one rate rise, one lost month of income, and the whole structure starts to shake. Which brings us to the mountain. Buying with high leverage in 2026 is like being told to climb a mountain, and then, at the foot of it, being handed a 40-kilogram rucksack to carry the whole way up. That weight is your fixed costs. It is the council tax, which now averages around £2,400 a year for a Band D home, roughly £200, leaving your account every single month. It is the building's insurance. It is the maintenance, which quietly eats 1% of the property's value every year, whether you have budgeted for it or not. And of course, it is the interest, sitting heaviest of all at the top of the pack. You are climbing, you are making progress, technically, but you are exhausted, and you are slow, and running along the path beside you, with almost nothing on their back, is the renter. They are light, they are fast. And every ounce of energy they are not spending, hauling that rucksack, they are pouring into something else entirely. Here is where the story turns. Take that same £60,000 deposit. Instead of burying it in brickwork, the renter feeds it into a low-cost, global equity index fund held inside an ISA and a SIPP, where the taxman simply cannot touch the growth. At a long run, average of around 7% a year, that £60,000 quietly generates roughly £4,200 of growth in the first year alone. Tax-free, working silently while they sleep, and then compounding on itself year after year after year, so that next year's growth is calculated on a larger number than this year's. Now look, side by side, at the buyer's £60,000. It is gone, poured into the deposit and sealed inside the walls. We call this dead capital. It earns nothing, it compounds nothing. It sits there, frozen in the brickwork, doing absolutely no work at all, until the distant, far-off day you finally sell up and move on. One deposit is an engine. The other is a headstone, the very same £60,000, two completely opposite futures. And if the property you are buying happens to be a flat, which across much of the southeast it very often will be, then there is one more mouth to feed: leasehold. Every year, the service charge arrives. Then, on top of it, the ground rent. And for that money, you receive no equity, no extra ownership, no compounding, nothing whatsoever that is ever yours to keep. These are not really bills. They are a second mortgage, running silently alongside your first, except this one never shrinks, and it never, ever gets paid off. It is a siphon, drawing money out of your account forever and pouring precisely zero of it back into your wealth. There is a particular feeling that arrives on any quiet morning once you own. It is the moment the direct debit triggers. You watch a large, hard-won portion of your professional salary leave your account in a single, silent movement, and you slowly begin to realize that your salary was never really yours to hold in the first place. It was simply passing through a transit point. Your money touches your account for a brief moment on its way to a high street bank, a local council, a freeholder, an insurer. You earn it. You just never get to keep it. And there is a final cruelty reserved for the buyer who tried the very hardest to get in. If you could only scrape together a 5% deposit, then you are borrowing at a 95% LTV, and the bank charges you extra for the privilege. A higher rate, a risk premium. Call it the success tax. The reward for stretching every single muscle to buy is a permanently higher cost, a quiet, relentless drag on your compounding wealth for years to come, punishing you for the precise crime of having had the least room to spare. And should your fixed deal end and you slip onto the standard variable rate, the SVR, which now sits north of 7%, that drag becomes a genuine weight. So let us be completely clear about what we are and what we are not saying. A house is a wonderful thing. It is a home. It is stability and memory and a door you can lock behind you at the end of a long day. But a house is a shelter first and an asset a very distant second. For 50 years, we had those two things the wrong way round, and we built a national religion on the mistake. In 2026, real wealth in Britain no longer looks like a locked door and a 30-year debt contract. It looks like liquid resilience, money that can move, breathe, and grow, that answers to you and not to a lender. True freedom is not owing a bank for 3 long decades simply to have somewhere to sleep at night. So before you sign anything, ask yourself the one honest question: are you buying a home, or are you just volunteering to feed the vampire? Run your own numbers, slowly and carefully, because in 2026, the person renting quietly beside you may already be building the exact future you thought you were buying. If you learned something, like and hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.